Okay, Dan, I hope our last video was enjoyed by people out there and people gained a lot from it. I know I certainly did.
I hope so too, yeah. So let's hope it gave them a little insight into the art of shredding.
And if we're on the topic of shredding, there's one player out there that's just an absolute wonder in such a melodic fashion. We were talking about it just before this video.
Yeah.
And that was Eric Johnson. And we've looked a couple of times at some of Eric Johnson's licks, and I wonder if we could share some of your insights and knowledge on how to get some of those licks into your playing.
Right, let's get to it. Check it out. I was doing a gig Friday. I was in the interesting position of being asked to be a front man.
Oh, you were singing?
Guitar. I was singing,
yeah.
Yes. And the guitar player who was playing with us that night was a guy called Chris Webb, who plays for Furion.
Furion, yeah, okay.
Chris is a great guy, he's a great player, and him and I got chatting about guitar players, and we're all reeling off like, oh, what do you think of Brian May? Brian's really cool, and what do you think of this player? I really like Guthrie Govan. Oh yeah, awesome. And we got to Eric Johnson, and like Chris was like, oh, he's a sod. you know what I mean? He knows it. He must be sitting in his little bedroom in Texas thinking, oh, this will catch him out. See if he can tab this. But, Eric Johnson's such a great player. He's got such a unique approach to guitar and far cleverer than you realise. When you realise so much of his stuff is actually just pentatonic. But his approach to the pentatonics just turns it on its head. And you're like, whoa, wow. Just learning a little snippet. I learned the intro to Cliffs of Dover recently. Sort of back in the summer. Not so recently, maybe. And that in itself was many guitar lessons of knowledge. Given to me just by learning 1 minute of music. I was like, right, that's really thrown the barn doors open. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
So what we'll do, we're going to look at maybe a handful of Eric Johnson style licks. Again, like these series of tune-in, tone-up video series, we're going to keep it short and quick to get them into your own playing. If you want to know about picking and that sort of thing, have a look at the last video on fast licks, because we do discuss at length sort of picking and angle of picking. So I won't go into that now because that's ground that's already been covered. But let's look at some of the licks. These are pretty interesting. The classic Eric Johnson lick we all know and love is the sixes lick.
Yeah.
We're in E. For that. So we're in E, and what we're going to do, we're going to take the good old-fashioned pentatonic scale at the 12th fret.
Yep.
So that's 12, 15 on the low string, then 12 and 14 for the A, D and G strings, and 12, 15 for the final two. All we do is we go down 3 of the strings. We start at the 15th fret of the thinnest E string. Go down 3 strings. So 2 notes per string. Then we go back up to the B string, 15th fret, do the same again. Back up to the G, 14th fret, same again. And then finally, 14th fret of the D string, work our way down to the bottom E. And then put it all together. So I'll play it at a modest pace. I'll put the octave note in the top there.
I should play it as modest pace as well. I'll let you play it fast and I'll probably not try.
Perfect. So as we said in the last video, we're using some downward pick slanting as we're leaving the string on an upstroke, because our first stroke on the top E string at the 15th fret is a down, the second one is an upstroke, and that comes just before we leave that string to approach the 15th fret on the B string, and so on.
Okay.
So at the end of the group of 6, because we're playing even numbers, we are going to end up with an upstroke, and so downward slanting, pick slanting is going to help us across the string.
Yeah.
Ferocious.
Okay.
So there's your classic pattern. Never mind.
I'll give it another little shot.
Give it
Go
a
on then,
whirl.
why not?
You know you want to.
So, bit messy. Yeah, never mind.
So it's tricky to do. Another one which sounds remarkably similar is the fives. Now this is a little Eric Johnson take on the sixes. Exactly the same set of notes, but here's the difference. We go down the top two strings, and when we get to the G, we don't go all the way down to the 12th fret. We play 5 notes, which means we hit the G string with a down on the pick, a down rather than an up stroke. So we then connect that with the B string,
yep,
to give us the next 5 notes with a sweep straight through.
Okay, so lovely. Oh.
So it's a little bit easier. You can go all the way down to the bottom. It's a little bit easier.
Nice.
Now here's the real handy thing with these licks. Anywhere you get 2 note per string patterns, which obviously all the pentatonic patterns are, the standard 5 positions, this is all applicable stuff.
Yep.
And you can use part of the patterns. So if you want to go down 2 strings, you do that, going down all the pentatonic patterns on the top 2 strings.
Yeah, okay.
You know, so you can connect all the patterns together using these.
Can you show us just again how you would move down slowly, down vertically? So moving horizontally as opposed to vertically, moving from one position to the next.
So here's a slightly different thing. So I've started higher, the 17 and 15 are the top 2. Then the 15 and 12.
So just and not in 5s. Like that, yeah. Okay.
So I was just doing that.
Okay.
But you could go down in 3s. So you could go down in not 3s, sorry, 6s. Which
Nice.
is just sort of engaging extra notes from the pentatonic patterns.
Okay.
So the point being that wherever you find these notes, these patterns, where there's 2 notes a string, the picking thing doesn't have to be relearnt, the picking pattern. You've got that under your fingers.
Yeah.
Something else which is a very cool Eric Johnsonism, again it's that sweeping, there's more sweeping stuff in his licks than you realise. It's quite shocking really. So starting with the 14th fret on the A string,
Yep.
we're going to go down onto the 14th fret of the D. So down, down, up. And we carry on going with the next pair of strings. So you get a little flow.
Great.
Which then connects to everything else. So you want to put it in with your leg. Connects to all his other pentatonic legs.
Cool. I've got some practice to do.
The other cool thing which he does quite a bit is he adds in the 9th.
Yes.
So even if you're a fairly straightforward pentatonic player, you never really stepped much outside that box.
Yeah.
The ninth is basically the same note as the second, so the second note of the major scale. So in the key of E, it's going to be 2 frets higher than the root. Same with every key. So in the key of E, it's going to be an F sharp. In the key of A, it's going to be a B. In the key of G, it's going to be an A, and so on.
And it will be whether it's minor or major, a minor or major pentatonic,
absolutely.
of course. Yeah.
So with that, you've all heard that sort of phrase probably at the beginning of Cliffs of Dover. Or he uses the F sharp.
Yep.
And with that, it allows him to go down in a little cascade of 4s. Yeah. Yep. And you get the sort of the other lick leading up to that. So that's starting on the 14. And it's all the hammer-ons.
Okay, so it's...
Now, if you link that, and this again is another Joe Bonamassa thing, to a fairly straightforward approach to the pentatonic, you almost get that feeling of speeding up.
Yeah.
Because you're going into, I think it's 16th note triplets or something. So. So you've gone from that.
Yeah. Yeah, brilliant.
Pretty cool. Also in the top, if you reach out to the 17th fret, so we're going to play 17, 14, 12 on the top string. So now we're bypassing the minor third, and then the same again, but now we're going to add the 15 on the B string. So. Now we can add that in to everything else.
Spot on, Dan. There's rather a lot of work in there.
Indeed. But have a go, because you've got some really interesting stuff. Because what you notice with Eric Johnson's playing, when you really get into it, it's not sweet picking like Brian from Avenged Sevenfold. Sorry, Sinister Gates. Who names themselves after Gates? Anyway, sorry, Brian. Brian's a great player, actually.
Yeah.
Sinister Gates, great player. But he very much uses the full, fairly standard sort of arpeggiated sweeps. Whereas with someone like Eric Johnson, it's a little subtle. A little subtle, the way he uses it basically as a mechanism to cross the string.
A little bit of parsley on top.
A little bit of parsley.
Yeah.
Yes. So he uses it as a connection method to get from one place to the next. You know? Evil lick at the end of being the intro to Cliffs of Dover. That's chock full of it. So that's my quick and dirty top Eric Johnson tips.
Thanks very much, Dan.
No worries.
And I'll see you in 10 years when I can do the same thing.
I'll see you then. I'll probably be dead by then.
Bless you. Thanks very much.
Cheers.